According to new information from various sources, including inmates who have been housed with Diddy, there are new revelations about his current condition. Some reports reveal that Diddy is currently being held in a bubble, meaning a cell with plexiglass walls, where inmates are tasked with monitoring him. These inmates are responsible for watching those under suicide watch. According to the warden, there are convicted inmates, known as cadre inmates, who are not necessarily white-collar criminals, but also perform maintenance duties in the prison. One of the issues is the violence within the prison, as housing units mix inmates from various criminal backgrounds, such as bank robbers, drug dealers, rapists, and white-collar offenders. This makes it impossible for Diddy to be placed in a regular housing unit because someone is likely to attack him. The allegations against Diddy have escalated, with accusations of exploitation, victim intimidation, and other serious charges, while he remains in custody awaiting trial. This morning, a federal judge is considering whether to grant bail for Sean Combs. Prosecutors argue that Diddy poses a danger, claiming he has engaged in a pattern of violence spanning several years. Some evidence has been presented, including a video obtained by CNN showing Diddy allegedly attacking his then-girlfriend Cassie in a hotel hallway. The defense argues that the video merely depicts the toxic end of a romantic relationship. However, prosecutors have, for the first time, sent a letter to the judge accusing Diddy of making death threats, throwing objects at people, and being involved in similar acts of physical violence, including assaulting, punching, and pushing others. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to the criminal charges, and although his legal team has not directly addressed the new allegations, they have asked the judge to disregard these claims. Diddy's lawyers argue that it is unlikely he would act violently toward anyone. They have requested the judge grant Diddy bail set at $50 million, with house arrest in a 3-bedroom apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side. They argue that this would be more restrictive than jail, with 24/7 private security, limits on phone calls, and a ban on most visits. However, prosecutors assert that Diddy cannot be trusted to comply with these conditions. Diddy is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, facing charges of money laundering and exploitation, with his trial scheduled for May 2025. His time in prison stands in stark contrast to his previous lifestyle. According to his attorney, Mark Agao, the food at the detention center has been particularly difficult for Diddy to adapt to. Inmates at MDC follow a strict schedule, beginning their day with breakfast at 6 a.m., lunch at 11 a.m., and dinner after the afternoon roll call. The meals include basic options like hamburgers and tacos, along with healthier choices such as lentils and tofu. There have also been reports suggesting that Diddy may be exploiting and controlling other inmates for his personal benefit. Recently, Diddy and his legal team scored a legal victory when the judge ruled that Diddy's handwritten notes in jail could not be used in his case. Diddy has 19 pages of handwritten notes for his legal team, and the judge decided that these notes are protected under attorney-client privilege. Additionally, Diddy's legal team achieved another victory when the judge ruled that he would not be required to wear leg shackles during court appearances. Diddy is also scheduled for a bail hearing next Friday. I think when we see things like this, folks, it just shows us that nothing can be ruled out. He's Sean P. Diddy Combs with a net worth of over $500 million. Clearly, he has the resources to afford the best lawyers and top legal experts. When you look at this, even though it might seem like a small win in the eyes of some, he's still in prison. Clearly, he's not likely to get out before April or May. And when you look at this, you might think, what's the big deal? He just won a lawsuit. But consider one factor. If law enforcement officials and prosecutors search your cell for private notes because they believe you're trying to influence potential witnesses against you, and the judge rules that those notes can't be used, that's actually a huge win. Everyone else has to go to court with their feet shackled, but not him. Some might think it's not a big win, but the image and perception matter a lot, even in the legal system, because they influence the jury. When you show up to court in prison clothes, it can damage your image. He still wins in the courtroom. Diddy, even though in prison garb, remains composed and continues to receive support from his family, including his children and his mother, who have always stood by him. Diddy's mother, Janice Smalls Combs, has publicly defended her son, claiming that he is being unfairly judged and denied the chance to prove his innocence. She expresses the pain of seeing her son being rushed to judgment, but John Deal believes there may be chilling reasons behind her support for him. Have you heard about Diddy's mom being accused of helping him steal money? There's a person named D1 who has sung about it, and they're accusing Diddy's mom of taking his money. But I think accusing Diddy's mom of stealing money is wrong. All she did was allow him to put some assets in her name for protection, in case one day, because of what he's doing and the nature of his work, he could get sued. This way, she could protect those assets. Do you understand what I mean? I don't think Mrs. Combs knew everything he was doing. Back when she was involved in those parties and modeling gigs with those late-night girls' parties, I don't think she was part of that business to know exactly where Diddy's money was going, who it came from, or where it was being transferred to. He just did his thing and had the right to put those assets in her name. Do you think she knows what Diddy is doing? I think she knows Diddy is doing some weird things, but I don't believe she knows exactly where he's allocating the money, which accounts it's going into, which offshore accounts or Swiss banks it's being funneled through, and everything that's passing through there. I think she's just enjoying the fruits of his labor. At MDC, Diddy's living conditions are far from luxurious. Former inmates describe the federal prison system as a place where there is no comfort, no matter how wealthy or famous you are. Timothy Smith, a former reality TV star and ex-inmate, explained that even famous prisoners like Diddy don't receive special treatment. Diddy is currently under constant surveillance in a special cell with transparent glass walls, known as a bubble, to monitor him continuously. This is a standard measure for inmates considered at risk of suicide. MDC, Metropolitan Detention Center, is known for its harsh conditions and frequent safety concerns. Judges have been hesitant to send defendants there due to overcrowding, inadequate medical care, and violence. Inmates must follow strict rules, with limited contact with the outside world and very few resources. Diddy's daily schedule now includes basic tasks like showering and doing laundry, with the food described as unappetizing, such as the notorious murder burgers, tough thin burgers. Despite this, his legal team is working to transfer him to a different facility, citing safety concerns at MDC. The final decision will rest with the Bureau of Prisons. Gandeal's perspective offers an interesting take on the situation. According to Gan, suicide is a leading cause of death in prison systems, and being placed on suicide watch is not something that inmates voluntarily request. Before an inmate is placed on suicide watch, they undergo a psychological evaluation, and correctional officers monitor their behavior to identify signs of distress, such as crying, self-harm, or actions indicating significant emotional turmoil. This type of surveillance is typically implemented to ensure the safety of the inmate and prevent harm, highlighting the serious mental and emotional challenges faced by individuals in high-stress, high-profile legal situations like Diddy's. Gandil's explanation sheds light on the harsh realities of suicide watch in prison. If an inmate repeatedly expresses suicidal thoughts, cries uncontrollably, or engages in self-destructive behavior, it's not surprising that they would be placed under suicide watch. In this situation, the inmate is typically confined to a padded cell with minimal clothing, ensuring they cannot harm themselves, and are kept isolated from other prisoners. It's a grim and isolating condition for anyone, especially someone like Diddy, who has gone from living a life of luxury in mansions, traveling the world, and enjoying an extraordinary level of comfort, to now being confined in a small, stark cell. This contrast between his former life and current prison conditions is bound to take a psychological toll, which may explain the extreme measures taken for his safety. If Diddy has had suicidal thoughts in the past, under the harsh conditions in prison now, those thoughts are even more likely to become a reality. Gan believes that Diddy will struggle to overcome his current situation, as he no longer has control over anything and must follow the orders of those in power, such as prison staff and other inmates. Gan continued by stating that Diddy, who once held immense power, now facing a situation where he has no power within the prison system, will find this to be a huge challenge. If these people follow their own agenda, Diddy could spend the rest of his life in prison. He will have to hope that they want to negotiate. But I don't think they will, or hope that they want someone else. He must have something to offer them. But no matter what he has, he must understand that drug lords, killers, and criminals all make deals, and they still get sentenced to 25 to 30 years in prison. If Diddy is sentenced to 15 years, he will be 70 when he gets out. He may not want to live like that. With the federal prison system's regulations differing from state prisons, Gan believes that one victim, a person involved in the alleged sex trafficking case against Diddy, could pose a significant problem for him. If someone testifies that Diddy paid to transport the victim across state lines, the chances of him being convicted would be very high. The prosecutors in Diddy's ongoing legal case have raised serious concerns about his behavior in prison, pointing out that his alleged attempts to tamper with witnesses and his threats against his staff are the main reasons for denying his bail request. According to court documents obtained by U.S. Weekly on November 25th, prosecutor Damon Williams and his legal team opposed Diddy's $50 million bail request while awaiting trial on charges of trafficking and organized crime. The prosecution argued that Diddy's actions while in custody, including attempts to interfere with the case, demonstrate that he poses a significant threat if released. We know that Diddy has interfered with witnesses before, particularly in the 1999 trial when he had Shine take the fall for him. Jennifer Lopez eventually had to take responsibility for her role in the harm caused to Natana Rubin. Could they bring charges against Jennifer Lopez for perjury and against her defense attorney for encouraging perjury? From what I know, there's no statute of limitations on perjury. We could start from here. Let's put Jay in the cell. She's been everywhere else already. Sometimes they will reopen a case to bring other matters to light. Do you think Shine's case and the nightclub incident with Jennifer Lopez will come to light? Definitely, it has to happen. It has to. In their filing, the prosecutors emphasized that Diddy's violent behavior and obstruction made it impossible to ensure the safety of the community or guarantee that he would not flee. They argued that Diddy's bail request was insufficient to ensure community safety or mitigate the risk of flight, leading them to recommend denying the bail request. The court filing also mentioned Diddy using coded language in illegal text messages and phone calls. "All right, I need you to clean up all the leftover pizza boxes. The ones that are left, all of them. Make sure to recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah, fine, but has Jay reached out? Is he ignoring me? In his case, in addition to the alleged efforts to improperly influence potential jurors, prosecutors have also highlighted examples of Diddy attempting to interfere with witnesses after a victim filed a civil lawsuit against him in 2023. Diddy is accused of trying to spread false narratives to those involved in the case. Prosecutors also allege that Diddy used his security team to harass a former employee who witnessed his abusive behavior and recorded phone calls with another victim in an attempt to manipulate their testimony. This could be seen as an effort by Diddy to protect a group of high-profile celebrities who may feel they are at serious risk if he stands trial. We know Jennifer Lopez is one of the big names who could be pulled into this case with Diddy. All Jennifer Lopez needs to do is marry a white guy who won an Oscar, and everyone will forget about the time she had a gun in her purse. She had gunpowder residue on her hands that night when Natana was shot at the club. Who knows? That bullet might have come from the gun in her hand, and she never once spoke out to protect that woman, never once donated to her family or paid for the medical bills they're still paying. She never said anything to stop Puffy, Diddy, from distorting the truth and trying to set up a hit on her, because he fears that one day the case will be reopened. She still has a bullet fragment in her face, but J-Lo says nothing at all. She really thought that just running after Ben Affleck would help her escape from Diddy's collapse? But that only saved her for the first time, because as soon as the club ended and after she was interrogated, when she sat crying like a child, said, "I don't want to go to jail," Benny Medina took her into the drunken guy until she chased him away. There are people who are calling for the injuries that Sean Cole's Diddy has caused their lives, and you try to avoid your part in that story or the truth that you have never spoken out. You want to tell people that the movie only talks about you escaping, Puffy, but you don't think about the girls you have left behind, including Cassie. If J-Lo spoke at that time, will Cassie become a victim? Answer me that. But she is not the only one. Many people wondered why Ashton Kutcher was so silent. Is it because he was afraid he would be discovered in Diddy's tapes? And he is not the only one in the risk of being discovered. People like Jay-Z and Beyoncé may also face the time of sitting behind iron when everything is exposed. Finally, who do you think Diddy will pull down with him? Let us know in the comment section.